You're listening to the Free to Be Mindful podcast, which invites you along on a journey to learn of mindful living, grow in mental health, and inspire through personal growth. In a world where we can often feel much stress and overwhelm, this podcast provides bite-sized tips and real talk conversations, empowering you to embrace mindfulness and nurture your full potential. I'm your host, Vanessa De Jesus Guzman, educator, licensed professional counselor, entrepreneur, and mom. I'm passionate about helping others live life with peace of mind and ease of heart without losing their, here we go. Hi, and welcome to episode 175 of the Free to Be Mindful podcast. I hope that you're feeling good, looking good, and doing better in this world than you were yesterday. So, if you're listening to this in real time, we are in the month of November with Thanksgiving just around the corner. And if by chance, by the way, you're listening to this after the fact, keep listening as the message will still be relevant and may still resonate with you even after Thanksgiving has come and gone. The fall, I'll share with you, is my absolute most favorite time of the year. I love wearing hoodies and chunky sweaters like the sweater I'm wearing now. You can see it if you're watching this on YouTube. I love football. The fall foliage is absolutely beautiful. The crisp air and the start of the holiday season is my absolute favorite. And when I was a kid, we used to celebrate Thanksgiving at my aunt's house in the Bronx. She had a medium-sized apartment. It honestly wasn't that small, but it would feel super duper tiny compared to the amount of people who were actually present. This is my dad's family, and my dad is one of eight. And although all of my aunts and uncles didn't live in the States, they all had multiple kids. And because of the range and age between all of them, I had some second cousins who were just a few years younger than me, or some first cousins who were a lot older than me. So, all to say, there was always a ridiculous amount of kids and adults in what felt like a very, very small Bronx apartment, but it was always filled with music and delicious smells in every which direction. And when it came time to bless the food before eating, I can't help but smiling because it brings me back such great memories. My aunt is very religious, and her prayers would be so long. And then she would follow them by a song, which you had to wait for her to be completely done with everything before you could eat. And it still makes my family laugh to this day when we reflect back on these Thanksgiving in the 80s and 90s and how all of us would just crack up while we were really starving, waiting to eat. And it's really one of my most favorite childhood memories. And generally speaking, November is filled with some sense of love and gratitude, almost for all. It's one of the reasons that makes Thanksgiving really so beautiful because it's a family where we get together with those who we care for the most and we spend quality time, hopefully, enjoying some amazing food and full bellies and hopefully giving thanks for our blessings. And even though Thanksgiving traditions have evolved throughout the course of time, the idea of giving thanks or having gratitude for all the things you're grateful for doesn't really have an expiration date. It's not something that we just have to practice around the time of Thanksgiving. Because in fact, gratitude is just as timeless as the moments that we celebrate and the memories that we make. And whether we appreciate the little everyday things or experience gratitude for the big things in life and the rewarding events, the friends and family and food on the table and roof over our heads, all of those things, of course, are things to be grateful for. But there's a lot of many things in between that shouldn't be overlooked either. And there are so many ways to give back and to give thanks not only to those we love, but for all the things that bring us joy and even to ourselves too. And as I think about the aspect of gratitude and my fondest childhood memories, other memories that I'm really fond of are teachers who have shaped my life. Two in particular were very, very near and dear to my heart. The first was actually my kindergarten teacher. Her name was Miss Linda Burkett. I believe Miss Burkett taught in the Bronx for decades. I don't know how many years, and I'm really not sure of where she is now. But she was super special to me because she's the person who helped me learn English. I never went to pre-K, and when I went to kindergarten, I was in an ESL class. And she would always check on me even after kindergarten. And even after my family moved to Jersey, she and I were actually snail mail pen pals. Does anybody even do that anymore? Snail mail pen pals until around the time that I was in high school, which it was around then that we lost touch. And the other teacher who was really special to me was actually my chorus teacher for all 4 years of high school by the name of Miss Eloise Dampoulis. And whenever I had free time in high school, like instead of going to study hall, I would just go to the chorus room. And between all the time we spent between concerts and talent shows, vocal showcases, and even traveling to New Orleans on a class trip, we built some amazing memories. So, if you happen to know either of these two amazing women, Miss Linda Burkett or Miss Eloise Dampoulis, please put them in contact with me. I'd love to reach out and say hello. And I mentioned these two educators because, as a former educator myself, and even as a licensed therapist now, I've had some deep conversations with students and with clients and with their families. And I can honestly share that one of the most amazing feelings is knowing that a kid has improved for the better because of the impact that you've made on their life, no matter how small. I'll share with you that when I used to work in a school, of course, teachers always get a bunch of gifts around the holiday, right? Or even the end of the year. But as a school counselor, when a student remembered me along with their teachers, it was a really special feeling. And even more beautiful were the kind words that they would write in their thank you cards. And that, my friends, is the epitome of gratitude for me. I still have some of the most touching holiday and end of the year cards that I received throughout my 18 years as a former educator because they truly are that special to me. And it's examples like that which really put into perspective the long lasting impact that gratitude can have on a person, whether it was from the person who was giving or from the person who was on the receiving end. And the aspect of gratitude, which by the way is interchangeable with having grace or graciousness or gratefulness, depending on the context and how it's used, it's not just a feel good thing. It's also based in science. There's actually a research study that was done by a psychologist at the University of Pennsylvania, which tested various positive psychology interventions, and each of them had a control assignment of writing about early memories, kind of like what I shared with you early on. And when their week's assignments was to write and personally deliver, that's a difference. Personally deliver a letter of gratitude to someone who was never properly thanked for his or her kindness, the participants immediately exhibited a huge increase in happiness scores. And the impact was greater than that for any other intervention, with benefits lasting for more than a month. So, what do these results actually mean based in science? It shows that gratitude can help boost our happiness levels, which then can lead to better mental and physical feelings of well being. And it's that feel good feeling that sometimes we're really chasing after in all of the experiences that we have. With the positive impacts on our social skills and psychological benefits and even the physical alignment, it just makes sense why these acts of kindness go such a long way. And there are a ton of benefits to expressing gratitude, but then we have to ask ourselves, how can I incorporate this in my daily life, right? So you can incorporate it in your daily routine by just reflecting on things. So think about when your partner tells you how much you mean to them. Hopefully they do this. Does that feel good to hear? Or when you receive positive feedback at work, does your performance and your attitude then improve? And it's more than just hearing these compliments, right? It's just feeling seen and being heard. And when we're understood or recognized for our efforts or our hard work, we then tend to experience more growth and more joy. Reflect on what is it that actually makes you happy. Take some time to detach yourself from the noise of our everyday hustle and bustle and enjoy the little things. the walk that you take to get your mind off of whatever it is that's bringing you stress on a daily basis, the kisses that you get from your puppy, or maybe from your child, or I don't know if cats do that, but whatever it is that does it for you. Reading a book or taking a long bath, spending some quality time with your loved ones, spending some quality time by yourself because you never get a moment to do so. All of these things are really being in the moment and capturing the moment. And doing these things don't require the words thank you or I'm thankful, but really you do feel them because you can appreciate these moments and think back and even say to yourself, oh, I really wish I had some more of those moments. So, really, it's having gratitude for whatever it is that's special to you. And maybe it's pride for something that you accomplished or how far you've come. Maybe it's appreciation for someone who's just made your day a little bit easier or for someone's simple existence. Maybe it's gratitude for your community or for the bigger things, for having a change in perspective, for growth, for love. Whatever it is that makes you grateful, my friends, learn to not only first acknowledge it, but then to cherish it and to express it. And knowing that despite having gratitude, you'll also experience feelings of sadness and worried feelings in your life just because that's the way things go, right? Just because your healing journey may not be linear or you're experiencing a setback of some sort, you can still experience gratitude in your life. So that's when we really have to take moments to pause, to really listen to what's happening in our minds. Remember, mindfulness isn't about stilling our minds in any way. It's just about paying attention to the voice that we have inside of us. What is it that we really want out of life? What is it that we want more of? Use moments like this to really think about how far you've come. And if you aren't grateful for where you are, feeling grateful for perhaps where you aren't anymore. If you aren't grateful for the emotions, your feelings, give yourself grace and allow yourself to be thankful for the capacity you have to even feel these big feelings. Having a gratitude practice is not a huge undertaking. It can be anything from having an actual gratitude journal to writing thank you notes or letters to having just random acts of kindness because of your gratitude to practicing affirmations to doing something as simple as this. I've been doing this with my son, I believe, probably since he was around 3 years old. And now it looks much different. But even back then, before he would go to sleep, I would say, what are three things that you're happy for today? I'd use that language because he wouldn't understand, what are three things that you're grateful for or thankful for, but just three things that you're happy for today. And you can do the same, whether you're 3, 33, or 93 and really take a moment to think about those things. Now, at the age of 3, I would just have him name three things. But now I ask him just in general, what are you grateful for today? And because we've been doing it for so long, he typically has a long list. And yes, he includes my mom and my dad and my family and our house and our dog. But then he goes on to simpler things. And that's what I really want to get to with our conversation today is that during Thanksgiving, we think of all the big things, which of course, yes, we're grateful for. But I also want you to reflect on the little things, to reflect on the colors changing on the trees or a beautiful sunset or not running into traffic on the way home, or somebody not cutting you off, or a colleague who's usually grouchy who actually said hello today, or somebody not giving you a hard time at work, or being able to actually spend some time either working out or watching the TV show at night. Having a gratitude practice is really just thinking of those small things that happen in our everyday life. And the more that we are intentional about finding those small things and acknowledging them, the more things we are going to find to be grateful for. So it really is indeed a lifestyle. And this lifestyle goes hand in hand with mindful living. You know that I defined mindfulness as paying attention to the right here and right now with kindness and with curiosity and letting go the aspect of judgment. So when we pay attention, right? That's paying attention to the right here and right now. And when we pay attention to that middle part with kindness and with curiosity, when we're curious about the things that we experience, we don't have to be grateful or thankful for all of them, but it's that curiosity that can lead us not only to exhibit kindness unto others, but exhibit kindness unto ourselves, having compassion for others and for ourselves. And in those acts is where we can experience more and more gratitude. Being grateful is indeed a mindfulness technique, a mindfulness exercise, and part of mindful living. Because when we appreciate the things just as they are, not giving any judgment to them, but just accepting what is, we can feel happier or more committed, more present. And then we allow ourselves to see things to their fullest potential. When we are grateful and when we are mindful, we are then indeed more in tune with ourselves. And this allows us to be happier, gain more clarity, and maybe even view things in a way that we wouldn't have seen should we not have come across this gratitude practice. And that can help us live with a little bit more peace of mind and ease of heart. When we're more aware of other people and of our surroundings, we can put ourselves in other people's shoes, we can practice more empathy, and we can see things from a place of understanding, of kindness, and even of forgiving. Gratitude is really important for our personal growth. And you know that's what this podcast is all about: mindful living, mental health, and personal growth. And whether it's growth in our self discovery, or growth in personal or professional development, or growth to nurture our relationships, that can really be the link that bridges everything together and lets us flourish as people. So, my friends, this Thanksgiving, as we gather with family and with friends, or with whomever it is that's special to us, enjoy some good food, maybe watch some movies, watch some football, play some games, whatever it is that you engage in as you sit around the table or around a small Bronx apartment. Just take a moment to reflect on what you're truly, truly grateful for. Take a moment to reflect on what it is that matters most to you and what is it that brings you a smile at that moment in time. Be in the moment. Be proud of yourself. Allow yourself grace, and then spread some joy and love with others. And take that light and continue to embrace it and share it with all who need it. With that being said, I want to take this opportunity and just thank you. Thank you for listening or watching. Thank you for your rates and reviews. Thank you for your support, whether it be on social media, from newsletters, from being in the therapy room, or maybe even knowing me personally. Know that I really appreciate your time and your support, not only of Free to Be Mindful and the Free to Be Mindful podcast and Amiga Moms, but in my personal journey. I wish everyone a great, safe, and delicious Thanksgiving. I now invite you to join me on this short guided meditation. So right now, regardless of where you are or what you're doing, take a moment to reflect on where this message landed with you today. Did it bring some light and ease? Or was it maybe a little harder to hear? Or harder to implement? Or perhaps it brought you thoughts of challenges you've experienced, or maybe you're thinking of challenges that you may come across as you try to implement a gratitude practice. Remember that you don't know the success of something until you've tried it with fidelity, meaning that trying it once for 1 second may not be enough. Take a few moments, whether it be when you open your eyes in the morning or before you close your eyes at night, and just think of 5 simple things. What are 5 things that you're grateful for that day? And the challenge to you is If you can think of a different 5 things the day after that, and a different 5 things the night after that. And if you have the capacity and bandwidth to actually write these things down, not long sentences or novels, just bullet points, it's really amazing to see throughout the course of time all the little things that we are grateful for or that we can be grateful for. There's always something out there if you look closely enough. Know that there is always something to be grateful for. And remember, in a world where you are free to be anything that you want to be, you are always free to be grateful and you are always free to be mindful. Catch you next week.